Hi, everybody. Welcome to our first try here at Tuesdays with Tom. Um, as many of you are living through, I am holed up in my house in the corner of our bedroom, hidden away from my four kids, who very well could interrupt this Facebook Live time. But nevertheless, hang with me, and we're happy to try to connect. I think more than anything else, we want to stay connected as a TDSS family. And for anyone out there that are not TDSS customers, obviously welcome. You're more than free to ask questions and check in with me, and we're certainly going to try to do this, you know, for the uh, for the foreseeable future on Tuesdays, until things get back to kind of quote unquote normal. So thanks for joining, and hopefully, as a school, we'll find more and more ways to connect with all of you and have our staff connect, and I certainly am always going to be in touch. So I think what we'll do is kind of play it by ear here for the first one, and take some questions. Maybe kind of run for about 15 minutes or so, and I'm happy to kind of answer anything that you guys have, whether it's Olympics related and what's going on with the delay there, or what we're doing with our kids at our house. We have four kids here that are holed up, that are between the ages of 6, and our 1 year old turns 2 in actually just less than 2 weeks. So they'll be between 6 and 2, stuck in the house. So as you can imagine, my wife and I have our hands full, and we are just trying to keep our sanity each day, and keep our kids active and engaged, just like all of you are. And my hope is we can keep providing you some content and activities to assist in that and help schedule days, and keep things a bit focused as much as possible. So we're looking forward to kind of going through this journey with all of you, and it certainly is a journey. And I think, where I'll start is to kind of share, what I've told my staff, which I think we're all kind of, all of us as a big family are trying to work through, which is just taking this hour by hour and day by day, and knowing that we can't get too far ahead of ourselves, whether it's for us and our work, or for our kids and our family, and how we organize our days. I think that the best course of action, which I'm sure all of you have heard and read, is to take it in just bits and pieces, and hour by hour and day by day, and kind of plan the morning and plan the midday and plan the evening, and then not worry too much about what tomorrow is going to bring, or the next week. That's certainly how I'm looking at it for the business, but also for my family, and for our household, and for my employees, to again try our best to look at this glass half full. And I think for us, one of the things that's been exciting for the swim school is to be able to pivot and really focus on some e-learning opportunities, and quite frankly, some platforms that we may well keep once things do get back to normal, and have those as kind of offerings for our families, even above and beyond being at the swim school. So um, I will I will kind of cover all bases, as we go through the weeks on Tuesdays, whether it's personal stuff for me and the Olympics, and what size shoe I wear, or anything else. Certainly can answer, swimming questions, non-swimming questions, whatever you guys, whatever you guys like. I'm happy to kind of tackle it. Why don't we start with, I think what a lot of people have been asking me, ironically enough, in unrelated calls, whether it's with landlords or figuring out legislation and what can help small businesses. One of the questions I know that everybody's been asking is, what's my opinion and what do I think about the Olympics being delayed, which has not happened since our world wars, which is amazing to say out loud. So it's a new reality, and I think that, for athletes of all kinds, but especially Olympic athletes, as a wiring of people, we are very narrowly focused. And I think that anyone that kind of grows up in Olympic sport and is fortunate enough to get to an elite level, to have a chance to compete in the Olympics, you have gotten there because you are so goal oriented, so disciplined, but also very narrow focus. And by that, what I mean is um, we work really hard not to allow distractions to come into play. And whether it's the a goal for the first 15 minutes of practice or the first half an hour of practice or a number of goals just for that one practice or for the week or for the month of training or the block of training, however it's set up for your particular sport, what it's designed to do is to eliminate those distractions and keep you very focused on kind of the next task ahead of you. So compartmentalization becomes a really important skill set for Olympic athletes. With all that being said, that is challenged in a big way when something that's so out of your control, like the scheduling and calendar dates of a competition, becomes a reality that you're faced with. And so for all athletes, certainly swimmers, at Olympic level, your road was planned years ago in terms of training cycles and what you're focused on and where your outside competitions are going to be leading up to the Olympics. So I think as a result, what tends to happen is when that's in question, or in this case, fully delayed, it's hard for everybody to understand how many different kind of levels that affects. It's not just the ultimate end goal of, okay, now the Olympics are at a different time. It affects all of those different training cycles and how they're supposed to stack up, training different parts of your body and fast switch muscles and slow switch muscles and distance training versus sprinting. And all of those things are taken into consideration in a sport like swimming as you kind of build, if you will, the platform and rungs on the ladder to prepare your body and your mind for the ultimate event in the sport of swimming, which is the Olympics. And so when that has to be pushed back, all of those kind of years of planning and organization then have to kind of be reset. Now, I think the other side of this that I would share is if it were me and I was still competitively swimming, which by the way, as a side note, seems like total eternity ago and multiple lifetimes ago, especially as I'm holed up in my bedroom. But nevertheless, I think that realistically, I think there's probably a couple of emotional phases that I would go through that a lot of Olympic athletes currently are going through. I think the first is certainly frustration or anger or maybe some confusion. I think one of the things that goes in line with the narrow focus and compartmentalization of Olympic athletes is also the wanting to control everything. It's why a lot of Olympic athletes become entrepreneurs, for good or for bad, maybe, is we do like to control our own destiny. In other words, we're firm believers, like most elite athletes, that if you work hard enough and you follow systems that you're being taught to follow, that you can achieve anything you want to at any level with no limit to it. And it's that simple. And I think that that's a lot about control. It's a lot about accepting responsibility. And so I think one of the first big challenges currently for Olympic athletes is that control element is completely taken away. What I would say, having gone to two Olympics, if I was advising those athletes, is one, you have to always look at the bright side of things. I think to be successful in anything, for anyone out there, no matter what you're doing in life, to be successful, you have to be a positive thinker. You have to believe that things happen for a reason and that they're going to work out, and that you actually can control that it's not just this uncontrollable destiny, but that you actually can be in control of that and can use it to your advantage. And I think that's what I would advise the current Olympic athletes is to use this to your advantage, because not everybody will be able to succeed in using it to their advantage. And as a result, I think it's really important to one, understand that it is out of your control, to two, understand that what is in your control is how you react to it. Your emotional response to it is very much in your control. And as a result, you could have an edge up on your competitors by handling this the best way in the world of all of your competitors. And as a result, then a year from now, or July in 2021, you have that much more of an advantage than you did even this year. So truthfully, I think I would very quickly, if it were me currently as an athlete, I would move through that frustration phase right into how can I take advantage of this? How can I use this to my advantage? And truth be told, I look at that even from a business standpoint. As crazy as it may sound, getting the swim school through a phase like this, I also look at it that it can separate us from the pack, so to speak. And if we handle it well and take care of our families and show them that we care and have great effort every day to offer something to them of value, I think that when we're through this, we can be a better business than we were even before all of this happened. And so, I look at it certainly in the positive always. I think for athletes, it's very hard because it's a very deserving thing. I think Olympic athletes that work extremely hard every day. I think they're fully wired to believe they deserve that success, and so when that has to be pushed back, that's certainly a frustrating phase to get through. But like I said, I think very quickly that needs to be turned to how can I use this to my advantage over my competitors and become a better athlete and a better thinker and take care of myself through this time. And also, finally, the point that we all feel, which is kind of the idea of community, right? And what can I be doing to help others that may take away somewhat or lessen that dark cloud of feeling of woe is me that hangs over your head. And I think we all feel that on a daily basis. Is the more that we feel like we're helping our community and helping those around us, our problems kind of lessen, if you will, or maybe go away for a little bit, and the focus can be on the greater good. And what better time than now when there is a need for that everywhere across the world to think that way. And so I think the back to the Olympics. I think the Olympic athletes that will be ultimately successful next summer are the ones that are going to go through those phases and very quickly of emotions and very quickly transition that one to realizing that they can become better as a result of this, but then realizing that this is bigger than any one thing. It's bigger than the Olympics. It's bigger than a gold medal. It's bigger than really anything that we've kind of ever been a part of. And so to be outside of that and help their community, I think all Olympians will realize that. And I think they'll all become better people and better competitors as a result of going through this. Okay, I will kind of questions we have. Okay, so Amy is asking what what can we do as far as practicing at home without a pool? Great, great question, Amy, and thanks, Katara and Cora, for asking that. Very good question. A question that is asked of me a lot currently. Truth be told, I think there's two different ways I would answer that for you guys. One is keep in mind that even when I swam all the way up through Olympic level, I still, a huge percentage of my training, believe it or not, was outside the pool. And sure, I was a distance swimmer, and the 400 individual medley was what I held the world record in, and so that required a lot of time in the pool. So it's not to say that the majority of time wasn't in the pool, but I would say on a weekly basis, probably 30% of my total hours training, which was a lot of hours, was dryland related. And so it's not to say that to kind of justify our existence right now, but it's factually to share with you that one, there is a lot of good feedback mentally and physically that you can receive from practicing dryland exercises that, believe it or not, does transition into the water. Think about it this way. One, there's an overall health aspect to this. So in other words, the more fit from kids all the way up to adults, the more fit we are in general, broad fitness, the faster our bodies adapt to any physical activity we then take on. So the reality of the transition into the water, sure, there's a different muscle memory feel to it, but it's still about base fitness. And even for the little ones, even for my kids, to be able to stay active so that at 1, 3, 5, and 6, which are their current ages, crazy to say out loud, the more they're active and used to being active, the easier it is to them for them to get back in the water, and then continue learning. So that's the first really important thing I think that people disassociate a lot of times when you're out of the water, is that, well, there's only one way, and that's to be in the water, and that's just not correct all the way up to an Olympic level. So there's a base fitness reality to it. The other side of it, though, is there are definitely very particular, kind of, we'll call them muscle memory triggers for the little ones, that we use in the water that have nothing to do with actual swimming in the water. There are triggers that get them in the right position where their brain tells their muscles, oh, this feels right now. Okay, now I get it. And now I'm not confused. And now I can relax and be nice and loose in the water and be fluid, right? Which is kind of that learning process that they go through from having no idea what's happening to then being kind of really stiff and robotic. And then all of a sudden you can see that, oh, I get it now. Naturally, I'm flowing through. And I think what we've worked on and will continue to work on every day for you guys that are out there as customers is include those videos in our e-learning library, so that it's not just here's the class and the curriculum, but very specifically talk about some of these activities that we can do on dry land that may be simulating parts of a stroke, and maybe simulating certain skills and drills that we do, that you're going to find your kids automatically go, oh, I remember how this feels. I remember how my backstroke arms feel. I remember how when I turn and breathe in freestyle, where my ears should be and stay on my shoulder. And all those sorts of realities are going to flood back in. And I think I certainly don't want to use this time at all, any week, quite frankly, to promote the school and what we're doing. It's not really what it's meant to be, but I'm happy to answer questions along those lines. So factually speaking, for you, Amy, and Katara and Cora, that's why we're going to have these videos up there, because you're going to find it's not just, sure, the full class video helps a lot, and there's going to be exercises embedded in those that we all can be doing in our living rooms and wherever we are in our house. That's physical exercise, but it's also triggers muscle memory, so they start to feel what it feels like. My 3-year-old son, who's a crazy man and never stays still, just out of nowhere yesterday, laid on his back and started kicking backstroke. And believe it or not, if you guys have never done on a dry land, it is not easy. It's an ab workout. I mean, that's what a gym would use as an ab workout, is to lay flat on your back, lay nice and still, relax your muscles, and then lift your legs and your feet 6 to 8 inches off the ground, and then just do a gentle leg straight flutter kick on your back. It's really hard. It goes right to your ab muscles. But for the little ones, all of a sudden they remember and they feel, oh, right, this is more of a straight leg kick, not a bent leg kick. And so immediately it starts to refresh in their brain. And I'm a terrible salesman. It's not what I do. I am information overload. That tends to be my style, and I want to have it exactly right, and I'm precise in what the information should be. But I'm not a salesman. But I will say in general that is the reality of what happens. Is it's important during this time, however long this time is, it's important to keep our kids engaged, not just in broad general activity, because that was the first thing that we talked about, but then in some specifics of, so remember what this feels like, because believe me, it will pay off when they get back in the water. It will not feel so foreign to them. Their brain and their muscles will work together to go, oh, right, I kind of remember this. Okay, so this felt like this, and then they're off and running. So I hope that helps. As you can tell, I am a long answer giver, which I've never done Facebook Live before, so I'm not sure if that's a good thing or a bad thing. But nevertheless, the goal of my marketing team to have this be at 10, 15 minutes just got blown out of the water, pardon the pun. And so let me work through a couple more questions. So Lori is asking, will competitive high school swimmers with access to a pool get a step ahead of those that don't right now? Yeah, good question, Lori. I think that I'm not sure where you live that they have access to a pool. I don't want to sound like Dr. Fauci here and get into that side of things, or Governor Northam, but we in Virginia certainly do not. Nevertheless, we'll move beyond the medical realities of shutdown, and I'm happy just to answer in general though. I think here's how I would answer it, Lori, 2 ways. One, specifically speaking to swimming and being in the water, there is a very harsh reality to it as you kind of go up in level of call it speed, expertise, experience in swimming. In other words, the older you are, the faster that you get. Knock on wood, hopefully. Um, the more it is very necessary to stay in touch with the water. You can lose your feel for the water pretty quickly. I think more talented swimmers, quite frankly, that's one of the things that differentiates them is they have a great feel for the water, which is kind of it's a hard thing to understand, but it is just like it sounds. Like it is a general feel for is this right? Is my hand pitched right? How exactly am I pulling through? And that only can really kind of be retained through that repetition in the water. However, the good news on both sides of your question is kind of in what I was answering before for Qatar and Cora, there is still great value in overall health dryland activities that can transfer over to being in the water. Um, I will say in general, those that are in the water always are going to have an advantage over those that are not because of that feel for the water at a high school level. Um, However, there are a lot of different kind of weight simulation options out there now that you can still build muscle groups that translate to strength and proper technique in the water as well. So hopefully that helped answer your question. Oh, I see Diane on here. Our old friend Diane down in Virginia Beach. What happens when the metals clink, and are there any superstitions? So just a quick story for you guys. Diane is a longtime pal of mine that used to be on our marketing team. And when Diane first started with us, we were doing a photo shoot. And little inside the Olympic Games scoop here, if you ever find yourself wearing Olympic medals or doing a photo shoot with an Olympian, as we all would, and there are multiple medals, you have to be very careful not to clink the medals, for which Diane was not very careful. And then from that point forward was known as the person that clinked the medals. And by that, what I mean is when you layer them on your chest, you have to lay them properly so that as the Olympian moves, those medals don't bang together. And they are actually quite soft in a sense, in terms of their ability to kind of chip and kind of get torn down. Which for another Tuesdays with Tom, I have a fantastic metal story that is fantastic because it didn't happen to me and it happened to a buddy of mine. That is a really good metal story that didn't end well for his medal, but nevertheless, thank you for that question, Diane. Much appreciated. Okay, so Reese, Ryan, and Kai want to know my favorite game to play while the kids are isolated at home. Hi, Reese, Ryan, and Kai. Hope you guys are hanging in there with your mom out in Colorado. So great question, guys. I can give you two answers. One is just going to be my honest answer, and two would be my answer. We're truly promoting proper games and structure with our kids. My honest answer I will start with because much like you, Reese, Ryan, and Kai, with three kids in a house, structure we'd love to fully have always, but we know we don't. With four kids in my house, we just don't have great structure. So we'll try a lot of games and it rarely works. But I will say this. I will answer it two different ways. Our favorite game outside currently, we'll go outside and then come inside. Our favorite game outside currently is freeze tag. Any version of tag is very popular right now with our kids. One, because they just want to run around when they get out there, and I don't blame them. And I run with them. Freeze tag has become very popular because my 3-year-old son Fitz wants to play tag, but also throw the ball back and forth with me. So freeze tag allows us to stop, throw the ball, then keep running once we're unfrozen, obviously. Inside, I would say that, so we have a couple of popular games right now. There's a board game actually that we're really liking called Outfoxed. I don't know if you guys have heard of that. It's better for my girls who are 5 and 6. The boys are 3 and 1, and good luck kind of getting them to hang with anything. But Outfox is actually a really good board game if you guys haven't seen it. The other thing, we're a big Magnetile family. I don't know if you guys know what Magnetiles are, but we love building with Magna-Tiles. So even our boys, so our two oldest are girls, two youngest are boys, and the Magna-Tiles are a huge hit. And so I would say probably indoor, that's our probably go to more often than not is Magna-Tiles. Hope that helps. Any other questions that you guys have that I can answer? How about why don't we do one more since maybe I'm breaking a Facebook Live record. I don't know. I'm at 25 minutes. I don't know what the norm is, but why don't we do one more and then we'll call it a day and we'll pick it up next Tuesday. So this is from Brittany, and Brittany's asking, since kids can't get in the pool, what are some of the dryland drills that you recommend to ensure they're ready for summer swimming, if there is summer swimming? Very good question. Trend's a little bit older, I would say, than a lot of our swim school kids, but I think even for, the 6, 7 year olds that may be starting summer swimming this summer, and then obviously on up to a lot of our kids that are 8, 9, 10 years old at the school and plus, or older. I think that what I would say is this: dryland drills to get ready for summer swimming or have some general idea of summer swimming. First, I would say any sort of ab exercise. So planks, sit-ups, as long as your lower back is nice and straight, are going to be really good. This is kind of the time. It's a tricky time because we don't know when we can get back in the water, right? And if you're let's say kind of 8 to 12 years old or even older, you're not sure when you're going to get back in. So base kind of what I would call base core base building with your muscles is really important. So keeping those abs engaged for swimming is super important. I mean, even during my training for the Olympics, doing abdominals was one of the things I spent the most time doing in dryland exercises to protect my back, but to build up my abs. Think about it for flip turns, any turns that you do. As a older swimmer, it requires abs. So that's always a good thing. I think the other thing is shoulder flexibility. So front arm swings, back arm swings. Switching them so that one's going forward, one's going back, single arm swings. That's really important. It keeps your shoulders loose. It keeps your neck loose, keeps your lats loose. And again, it's hard when we're holed up at home and we think we're active. Are we really active in the right way, especially for swimmers? The other thing is squats. I would recommend squats. Kind of another, almost think of it as a core building base. You're building those quads up, which are your biggest muscle group, and getting that action going is important. Also, really tires you out and makes you sore, which is always a good thing. It's working if those two things are happening. So hopefully that helps for you guys, just to give you some ideas. We are going to put videos in our e-learning library for dryland exercises. So be on the lookout for those. Outside of even just the swim curriculum, we're going to have dryland exercises for all age brackets available. That will include a lot of those exercises that I just named. So I think that'll be great for you guys. Again, just to keep your kids active, and one of my goals personally for it, because my family needs it, is to help with that schedule. Right? We want to assist you all with planning your day and your week, and bringing some kind of sanity, if you will, to that schedule, so that the kids don't just kind of run rampant all day, which I get it, believe me, that happens more often than not. But I think you could even set times where you're going to watch these videos or do a little workout on the TDSS e-learning platform with some of these exercises, and so it helps frame your day a little bit more. So hopefully that helps everyone. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and sign off. Thanks for all your questions. Maybe new record, I don't know. We'll look into it. Almost 30 minutes Facebook Live, maybe too long. You guys tell me. But I'm happy to do it. It's Tuesdays with Tom, so there's no chance I'm coming on Thursday or Friday, only on Tuesdays. That's why we named it that way. But thanks again for joining. Look forward to again, engaging with all of you. And for me personally, and on behalf of all the swim school staff, hang in there, guys. Keep it positive, and let's try not to yell at our kids. All right. Take care. Have a good day.